This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where every week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we discuss what's going on in our business. Plus, we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week, we'll be talking to porn star Lance Hart. Adult Site Broker is proud to announce Adult Site Broker Cash, the first affiliate program for an adult website brokerage. With Adult Site Broker Cash, you'll have the chance to earn as much as 20% of our broker commission, referring sellers and buyers to us at Adult Site Broker. Check our website at adultsitebroker.com for more details. First of all, today, let's cover some of the news going on in our industry. German authorities have been stepping up their efforts to fine in-country sex workers for posting sexually explicit content on open online platforms like Twitter, forcing them to take down posts on the US-based and free speech-protected sites. According to a new report by the Daily Dot, focusing on sex workers in the German BDSM community, the crackdown against free sexual expression on the internet has been ramping up in Germany over the last few years. Laws regulating online pornography have been in place since 2002. The Interstate Treaty on the Protection of Minors in the Media in Germany makes it illegal to distribute pornography to which minors have access. Government censors from a confusing patchwork of regulatory bodies in state and local governments have been using that legislation to target sex workers who post sexual content on open platforms like Twitter without an age verification firewall. The Ninth Circuit Federal Appellate Court ruled against Kink.com and owner Peter Ackworth in their lawsuit against their former insurance company, Utane Specialty, affirming a lower court's opinion that the insurer does not have a duty to provide coverage for litigation costs and settlements over 2015 lawsuits concerning allegations of HIV transmissions at the iconic San Francisco Armory building. At the time of the alleged transmissions, Kink.com and Ackworth owned the iconic San Francisco location associated with the Kink.com brand. In an unpublished opinion yesterday, a Ninth Circuit panel upheld a 2019 summary ruling against Kink and Ackworth by District Judge James Donato, ruling that the insurance exclusion provision precludes coverage of injury resulting from sexual acts. Legal news site Law 360 reported. Kink and Ackworth were targeted in a series of lawsuits in 2015 by performers who claimed to have contracted HIV while shooting scenes for a company called Cybernet Entertainment. Kink and Ackworth alleged Cybernet was a tenant who had rented the Armory as a location. The performers alleged unsafe work conditions that didn't mandate the use of condoms and required actors to engage in sexual acts with visitors touring the premises. Judge Donato's 2019 ruling, upheld yesterday by the appeals court, stated that Utane was not obligated to cover the defense costs incurred by Kink.com and Ackworth during the Cybernet cases due to their policy's physical sexual abuse exclusion. A workers' comp case recently brought in Australia against an anti-porn group by one of their own employees provides another bizarre example of plaintiffs deploying the debunked concept of porn addiction and the stigmatization drug-related language of porn use or porn consumption as legal strategies. Michael Bowker, a man working as a national office manager at Family Voice Australia, a conservative Christian organization which lobbies against porn and other social issues, had a stroke at work in April 2016. Bowker then sued Family Voice Australia, claiming that his workplace, where he worked for 4 months, had become so stressful that the situation had a direct impact on his health, leading to the stroke. Bowker's argument was that the work environment became so stressful he turned to the sin of pornography, which contributed to the stroke, since he felt this was in conflict with his religious beliefs and his moral standards. The South Australian Employment Tribunal, in a judgment published online, awarded Bowker 2 years of weekly compensation payments after finding that his stress levels significantly contributed to his brain hemorrhage. The tribunal took into consideration several workplace environmental factors, including poor staff morale, long hours, workload, and technological issues. Now let's feature our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. We have an adult microblogging and social media site that has over 7.7 million unique visitors per month. The site is a mix of social media and microblogging with a very active user base, which is expanding rapidly every day. The platform offers every registered user a blog, which they can use to post their own content and reblog content from other users. They can also interact with other users through comments and an instant messaging system. The website offers truly immense potential for growth and earnings for the right person or company. By adding subscription plans for an ad-free experience, a new owner would significantly raise the earnings, and combined with starting to sell ads directly, could more or less double the earnings in no time at all. The site is also very unique. There's nothing else like it. Also, it has not been advertised in any way, so there are tremendous opportunities for growth using ad campaigns. For the right company, this is an opportunity which has immense potential. This great site is available now for only $280,000. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is adult star Lance Hart. Lance, thanks for being with us today on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, Lance is one of the most prolific stars in adult. He can master any role and has done it all from gay, straight, fetish, bi, trans, and everything in between. His first scene was for Sean Cody, and he went on to become one of their top contracted models. After that, he started his own fetish studio and produced clips, and eventually went on to found his current studio, Man Up Films, Sweet Fendom, and Lance Hart Studios. With over 10 years in adult, Lance has worked with all the top studios, including Kink, Evil Angel, Lust Cinema, Icon Male, Transerotica, Transsensual, Gender X, Fetish Force, Wasteland, and Severe Sex Films. He's an official spokesmodel for Playgirl, as well as brand spokesmodel for XR brands. Lance has received countless nominations, including from AVN, XBiz, the TEAs, the Fetish Awards, Fleshbot Awards, Gay Fleshbot Awards, Pornhub Awards, Alt Porn Awards, Urban X Awards, CyberSocket, and the Grabbies. He's won Niche Performer of the Year and multiple awards for his scene work from the AVN Awards. He's won Male Clip Artist of the Year from the XBiz Awards, and he's won the XBiz Cam Awards Best Male Clip Artist. Lance has also scored Male Performer of the Year from the Fetish Awards 3 times in a row, as well as Favorite Male Fetish Webcam Performer and Favorite Fetish Featured Film. Lance has also won Best Male Performer from the Alt Porn Awards, TEA Awards, and GayVN Awards. He's grabbed a ton of mainstream coverage from outlets like GQ, BuzzFeed, Paper Magazine, The Daily Beast, The Boston Globe, Oxy, and Input. Before entering adult, Lance has had a wide array of jobs, from street performer in New Orleans to senior sales executive for Cogent Communications. Well, that's all we have time for today, Lance. No,
Okay, cool. It sounds like I kind of know what I'm doing, I guess. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff.
It's quite a resume. So how's the new buy site coming along?
Well, I'm excited about it. I'm really excited. So I bought the domain bifuck, BIFUCK.
I like that.
And yeah, I was looking at all kinds of different buy things for domains, and then I was like, this is going to be taken. And it wasn't taken. It was like it was taken, and then I bought it from someone who wasn't using it. One of those things. But that got me excited because it's a short domain. It's like 6 letters. And it's pretty simple, like buy, fuck. Okay. You know what I mean? So, hey, yeah. So I'm pumped about that. And the only bummer, so I've like been saving up for a while to have the money for all the content so I could shoot a lot really fast and shoot all the marketing shit and do all the stuff that costs money up front. And so I've been saving up. It's been great. And then, pandemic happened and I was like, well, fuck. And then things kind of opened up, but they probably shouldn't have already. Like everybody's back to shooting porn. My wife and I are staying home. We're shooting porn at home.
Right.
But I don't know. I did the other day. I just kind of got a hair up my butt, and I was like, well, you know what it was is with all the explosion of unrest with racial issues in the country.
Sure.
What one thing led to another, and then I started working on a project where I could teach, basically like teach Black people how to build their own porn company instead of just perform.
Nice.
The idea is like Ricky Johnson or Anna Fox, instead of like, oh, I want to win Performer of the Year. Why aren't they thinking, why don't I own a company just like Evil Angel? Or why don't I own Kink.com? Or why don't I own Bank Bros or something like that? You know what I mean? So I started working on that, like helping to connect those dots. And because it really, what the quote unquote racism is, it's systemic, and I don't think it's on purpose, but I think it's real, where I don't know how to put it bluntly or less bluntly, but basically, a lot of times white people just don't take the time to explain shit to Black people because they think, well, this isn't for them. Yeah. Like they're not going to be a
sadly,
they're not going to be, you're a hot Black person, you're a model. You're not going to be a CEO of a big company. So I would assume it's the same reason you don't have that I'm aware of many like Black sports team owners.
Right.
You have a lot of athletes, but not a lot of owners. So anyway, I'm doing this project where I'm trying to teach really anyone who's interested. And then that turned into, well, everybody's mad about the abuse in porn and the consent violations and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, if you really hate that and you're sick of that shit, instead of telling people to cancel people, why don't you just start your own company and hire who you want?
That's right.
And so that's where that project is. And so I'm doing that, and I'm explaining soup to nuts to people how to build their own porn company, like a pay site stands on its own, not like a OnlyFans or hey, I want to shoot stuff, put it on Pornhub and make a little money. I mean, like building your own standalone business. As I was doing that, I was like, oh, I did want to start a buy site. Maybe I should do this. Just walk through. I'll do it so it's in front of me. That way I'll be able to explain it better.
Right.
And then I got excited because I'm like doing it, and I got the domain, I got the site now, and I got put one clip on it that I shot a while ago, and I'm like, I really want to shoot, I want to finish this, So now I'm excited, and I don't know, I'm really being prudent about should I be doing these shoots, because by nature, if it's a buy scene, there's at least 3 performers, so it's not just like I'm endangering 2 people, I'm endangering 3 with COVID. So I'm like, fuck, all right, and then. It's not gay, so there's a female there, so there's going to be makeup involved. So can
you shoot safely now?
I mean, it's defined safely,
what's safe, right?
Yeah, like before COVID, making porn is dangerous by nature because you're agreeing to. With layman's terms, like one layman is talking to another layman, not lawyers, but one layman is talking to another layman and saying, hey, let's go into this contractual agreement together that involves over $1,000 and your own physical safety.
And protected sex, right?
Yeah, unprotected sex. And then also, even if there's no S&M, there's penetration and throat fucking and all. I mean, it's not exactly, it's not the most dangerous job in the world, but there's risk, know. And even if you bump your head accidentally while you're having sex, while you're getting fucked, that's 2 ingredients that can lead to trauma. Even if there was no malice involved, like if there's no one was malicious, no one meant to do anything wrong, but you bumped your head, you had head trauma, and then sex was involved. Now you've got PTSD. Congratulations. So it's it's dangerous, right? But so you start there, and then you add a global pandemic. But I mean, that being said, I love it. I can't imagine doing anything other than this job. And I've had a lot of jobs before porn, which sucked on their own levels. You know what I mean? Even being a salesman for a big software company, wearing a suit every day, fancy dinners, all that kind of stuff. That was painful in so many weird ways. It's just different. Anyway, so I love doing porn, so I don't want to stop doing porn. But now we're adding a potentially fatal virus into the mix that's airborne.
Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and it doesn't. From what at least from what I understand, it probably ain't going to kill me, but it could kill my mom or my friend's mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so that makes it even dirtier because it's like you and I might agree to have sex on camera, but what is your mom involved in the conversation?
Right.
No, because it's sex. That'd be weird. But do you go visit your mom ever? Because if you do, what? And then it's like, God, you could. The mental goose flesh of the whole thing, because you could really just go so many ways with it. We're like, well, how do we even know it's that dangerous? And how do we know it's fatal? And how do you know it's contagious? And no one knows. And but you just gotta. I like to be in the neighborhood of polite, where I don't kill people's moms. So
if probably wise. Yes, probably wise.
Yeah, if even like killing someone's mom is on the table, I'm kind of like, I don't want to sit there. I don't want to sit at that table, right? So then, but then the other, it's like, well, fuck, man, we gotta go on with our lives, you know?
Right.
So, and this is not just porn, obviously, it's every industry across the board, but
it's just living.
So it's just living. So can you shoot safely? Here's what I'm on the board at the Free Speech Coalition. So we're a porn trade association. So we're whether or not it's really our job, everyone looked to us to make the rules on is it safe to make porn or not. And Michelle, our leader, is really, really good at running a nonprofit trade association. I mean, she's like a bad. Never been in porn, never been a sex worker. So she knew that, she's not an idiot. So she said, okay, I'm going to have to consult with the entire industry, basically. And we did. She did everything she could to learn everything she possibly could, and then build a team and a task force of people to try to figure out the different levels of risk and when to say it's no go or go. And so currently, according to me on the board, the board, my task force and me, we're saying, yeah, you can shoot porn, you can. It's highly advised that you don't leave your house, but you can. And if you're going to, here's a we have a 15-page document that reads like a technical document. It's like really painful to read, but it should, because it's technical information. And it's what we gathered from industrial hygienists and medical experts and scientists and fucking people that know their shit. We had to pay money. It wasn't just like, hey, I do some hooking on the side, and sometimes this doctor sucks my dick for money. And so I asked him, and he said this. It's not like that. It's like we actually paid them as a trade association to get us this good data. And so you can break that document down into like steps to take that fit whatever your production is. And that turns into, that's the safest way to make porn. So that's the good news, is there is you can make a blueprint to do it. But it's this big question mark of like, because there's so much shit we don't know.
Right.
Like so for example, if I have a tentative, I have a location booked for the 10th, so 7 days from now. They are just as prudent as me, the location owners. They're super good, scared. So, but we're friends too, and they trust me, and I trust them. And so the first step is either shoot at your house or shoot at a location that's clean as fuck, right? So you clean the shit out of it.
Right.
Before you meet everyone in the parking lot, and you take their temperature outside with one of those temperature guns.
Yep.
You examine the head. And then if that's clear, you ask them a bunch of questions, just like you get asked at the nail salon, like, have you been coughing? Have you lost your sense of taste or smell? Have you da-da-da? So if they clear that, then you look at their COVID test, which has to be a PCR test. It's kind of a technical term, but it has to be a special kind of COVID. If it's within the last 3 days and it says you don't have COVID, there's a 60% chance you don't have COVID at that.
Jeez.
So pretty good, 60%. If someone was like, hey, there's a 60% chance you'll get laid if you go to this bar tonight, like, you probably go. Well, yeah. But if they were like, there's a 40% chance that your mom will die,
Oof.
if you go to that. You're like, wait a minute. But that's kind of a leap, right? Because maybe the person you're working with could have COVID, but you don't give it to your mom, and your mom doesn't die, right? So it's you
Right.
still, you know what I mean? It's like so okay. So there's 60% chance no one has COVID. Everybody gets tested. You let them in. You keep everybody 6 feet apart. You give everybody has a mask. Makeup lady has a face shield. Nobody eats next to each other. Everybody keeps their stuff separate by 6 feet, so you don't have one model's suitcase of lingerie exploding into another model's. Da 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 da. You tape off areas where you're like, hey, these areas I know are clean. You can be here. Outside the tape, though, don't go outside the tape. It's like we don't know, right? And then you start shooting, and you if there, and then when you're shooting, you try to do positions that aren't face to face as much as.
Sure.
So probably not much kissing or no kissing, and then a lot of doggy. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And
not a terrible thing.
it's doable, right? And then everybody cleans up, washes the fuck out of their hands, and goes home. You clean the shit out of the set, and then you, as the person, the director, or like me in charge that day, I go pre-COVID test 3 days later, just to have in writing that there's a 60% chance I didn't have it before the shoot, and now there's a 60% chance I didn't get it on the shoot. So you have like two, and that'll hold up in court kind of okay. Like, so if you do all that, and
pretty involved.
Yeah, if you don't let anyone travel to your shoot, your odds are much better. Sure. Like if no mask, like they can drive in the car, but you don't have them take a bus or a fucking airplane to get shoot. You're going to cut down greatly on that risk of them being in the 40% and not positive. So, and all that over something that, like, is it just the flu or does it kill your mom? I don't fucking know. Like,
depends. It depends.
Depends on who you're listening. It depends on which part of Facebook you're looking at that day. It's just so weird.
So you mentioned cancel culture. What's your take on that?
Man, I don't jump into that. I just have a hard policy for myself, where I don't say negative things about people on the internet. And if I'm in a digital conversation like text message or something, and it looks like it's going to get emotional, I say, hey, we should talk in person on the phone. I don't. That's been my rule, and it's given me a lot of peace of mind just having that rule. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect though. Like I'll gossip in person with people, which I wish I didn't. That's a bad thing to do, but I found myself talking some shit with my buddy or my wife, like, what that motherfucker's doing? Jeez, what is he? You know what I mean? So there's stuff I got to look at, but I don't talk shit on the internet. So I don't really fit into the cancel culture thing. And then I get yelled at because I won't cancel people. Because people on the internet are like, you need to speak out about this person, them directly, and they're an abuser, and you need to take a stand with us. And I just don't do it because I don't know. I don't think you can effectively, like in Hollywood, they canceled Weinstein and then got him arrested, right?
Right.
And then Roseanne Barr got canceled because everybody uprised, and she's not going to probably do much work anymore. But it's in porn. It's not like some giant studio or a big conglomerate of investors is making the decisions that have to do with pornography that's being made. Like,
it's true.
Like if you're, and even in the cases where that is true, like MindGeek and Gamma, okay, you can say, Craven Moorhead got booted basically from porn, right? Enough people spoke up and got that guy out of there, and that's good. But that dude could still start his own site, and he could recruit people, and they would work for him, and they would, well, what's going to change, man? You can't.
That's true.
It's just it's so cheap to make porn. You can't boot people out of it forever. So that's my little view on that. And then also, like, I don't know, I've been asked to like speak out at a few people who I know, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't I just call that person and see if I could talk sense into him?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have forgotten that talking exists.
Yeah, my friend John Johnston, sorry, I couldn't confuse. John Johnson is my
Hmm.
friend who does. John Johnston
Hmm.
is my friend who works in the gun community, and he's like a shooting instructor. So when I get him
Hmm.
confused, it's weird. Especially if I send one of them nudes, it's weird. But the gun guy, John Johnston, he always says, "Yeah, the world would be a better place if people would just talk,
Mm.
like just, like hang out a little
Better
bit."
than shooting.
Yeah, yeah. Because like if you and that's how I've always been. Like I'll eat dinner with anybody. I don't care how
Hmm.
big of a dirtbag, scumbag, evil person. So I'll eat dinner with anybody, man. Just because I might get some empathy for their
Sure,
situation, and I might
sure.
learn more about how I don't want to be, or how, and they might get some empathy out of my situation and say, oh, maybe I should stop raping people,
Hmm.
huh? Or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like just
So many
yelling
people.
at them doesn't make them stop.
Yeah, I'm friends of mine. I'm as anti-Trump as they come, and friends of mine go, "Well, I can't believe you have friends that are Trump supporters." I go, well, they're my friends, and I try to understand them. I don't agree with them, but I try to understand them.
Well, you got it. Otherwise, it's maybe I make logical leaps. Sometimes I did a lot of LSD when I was a teenager, so I
Hmm,
make these logical leaps that don't exist sometimes. But
sure.
if you can't be friends with someone who is votes different than you, then how can you be in the same country? Like, should we have two countries then? Do we have to?
Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. Hey, you mentioned guns. I see a lot of gun stuff on your social media. What's up with that?
So I like guns. I always liked guns since I was a kid, but they're
Hmm.
basically metal penises,
What's that?
and they're metal penises is the deal. Tracy Morgan, I'm stealing a quote from Tracy. I got to give him credit. Tracy Morgan said that, but it's true, man. It's like a metal dick. It's really cool. And so always been into guns, and my dad, taught me how to shoot and stuff when I was a kid, mostly
Hmm.
hunting and stuff like that. And then got into, well, when I lived in DC, I had a close friend who was like a uh I don't know what to say. He had like a top secret job he couldn't talk about, and he did like, I don't know, he's like spy movie shit, but probably not like as cool as in the movies. But he did, like spy shit. So
Hmm.
he um he would tell me stuff a lot, like, hey, dude, you should really carry a gun everywhere. And this is a guy, he did not like guns. He was not a gun advocate, right? He was
Hmm.
just a dude who, like, before he got that job, was like, I don't know, whatever, it's fine. And then he got that job, and he was like, yeah, you should have a gun in your car. You should carry a gun on your person. You should have it.
Hmm.
You should know all the exit routes. And I'm like, what does this guy know from work that I don't know? Like, what? Fuck?
Interesting.
Like, what's going on? What's going on? And
But
anyway,
he
so I
but he
started
couldn't
getting more
but
interested.
he couldn't tell you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It'd be like I'd be in the car with him going over a bridge, and he'd be like, yeah, this would be like a really, really good spot for a terrorist attack. And I'd be like, what? And he'd be like, what? Nothing, nothing. I'm just thinking about work shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ, So just weird
Wow.
stuff. So it kind of got, I was like, kind of spinning. So I got a concealed carry permit when I was buddies with that guy,
Hmm.
and just got in the habit more of just like an exercise of like, paperwork. I like, jump through hoops sometimes. And I'm like, okay, now I can carry a gun. Okay, now I can. So I will. So then I start carrying a gun, and I'm like, okay, so if I carry a gun, I got to dress different because you got to hide it. And then
Hmm.
logistically, this and that. And then it carries a certain responsibility with it, of course, like safety, but then also the moral decisions of when would I draw this thing? Like,
Hmm.
not it'd take a lot for sure, but
Sure.
what would that take? And then I kind of like that, just the having that kind of responsibility in my head at all times. It keeps my awareness up. It keeps me from looking at my phone when I'm at the grocery store,
Hmm.
because I'm looking around and I'm like
Yeah.
aware of the
Yeah.
situation, and
That's
it
good.
makes my life more enriching. Um,
Interesting.
so then and then I get into porn, and then a couple of my friends get like abducted. Terrible shit happens to them.
Ooh.
I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is bad. And so
Hmm.
then I started thinking, and then I get married to a small goth lady who's famous for doing quadruple anal and getting pissed on. And so the internet is like constantly coming at her. And then we go to Walgreens together. People are like eyeballing, like, oh my God, that's Charlotte. I bet she wants me to choke her, like that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
so I started getting more. wary about personal protection, that kind of stuff. So now, I don't think I'm like a crazy person, but I have a lot of guns, and like I always have at least one on me, and security at home, and I train a lot, and it's fun. It's 'cause it doesn't really even cost that for like $600. You can pay like an ex Special Forces dude or a Navy SEAL or some dude to just teach you how to shoot like they shoot.
Oh, wow.
Like they have classes for that, and it's cool. It's fun. You like learn. And then I met these dudes, and like half of them are gay. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I thought they'd be weird because I do gay porn, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are from gay porn. Yeah, man, my old captain, he's totally really loved dudes, man. He was so manly, he would only fuck men. You know what I mean? Like it's so you kind of see this other side of humanity on. It's surprising, that like super masculine, like beard, Velcro, like tough guy teams guys. Yeah. A lot of them like dudes, So anyway, so that's been fun, and then and it's just I don't golf, you know what I mean. So it's like fun to shoot. It's just the practice of drawing and squeezing the trigger without fucking it up, and getting the bullet exactly where you want it to go, and timing yourself, shot timer. It's like super fun to me.
Well, it's a sport. Yeah, it's a sport. Definitely.
It's a shooting sport. Yeah, totally. It's and the guys that do the shooting sports as the competitors, they are like on a whole nother level than even where I am. Like currently, I've been at it for a few years, training a lot. I can honestly say I'm better than every cop I've ever met because I'll shoot the places where cops are. And standard infantry guy, like someone who was like, well, I was a Marine or I was in the Army, I know how to shoot, and then they suck, you're like, okay. But the ones that compete, and some cops compete and some Army guys compete, they are fucking another level. I mean, they're like, you can't see as fast as they can draw and shoot. And you're like, what? How the fuck did you just do that? It's like an amateur golfer versus like Tiger Woods or some shit. I mean, it's like, what is happening? And then, so that's been kind of cool to like learn that, and it's fun. I'm a little too excited. I get excited. I like night vision, and I like to LARP around my house. Sometimes my wife thinks it's weird, but
that does sound weird. So
yeah.
So you're 41 now, Lance.
Yeah,
so young. And you've been doing porn since you were 27. So what's different about it now from when you got started? And what do you want out of porn now that you didn't before?
Well, man, I want when I was new, I just needed money, man. I was like broke and kept getting laid. I was a sales guy for these companies, but I kept getting laid off because they were tech companies, so they were always, it's fucking, they get new funding and change. Anyway, so I was always broke, even though I had good jobs. So I got into porn because I was unemployable. I got laid off so many times in a row. Just shit resume, and quickly learned that like, oh hey, I got hired in gay porn, but as it turns out, I actually kind of like dudes. This is I never really looked into that. I kind of like dudes too, So it was kind of like a sexual exploring thing. And then I was spending a lot on hookers and dominatrices and strip clubs at the time. And I was like, well, now I can just do that at work. That's kind of cool, So it was kind of like a thinking with my dick thing, plus just paying the bills and survival. Yeah. And then after a couple of years, I was like, well, I kind of want to be someone in my community. So I got interested in like moving out west and going to AVN and working for bigger companies, learning how bigger companies work, and and then it kind of evolved into like I got to know the people who own the big companies, and I'm like, man, they're just some dude like me or some lady, what's the difference between me and them? Like, I want to have a big company. So, so I've been building on that. I don't have a huge porn company. I have a very tiny independent network, but, it's just kind of growing some depth and weight into that has been cool.
That's how that's how big things start. They start small and you build them up.
You build them up. Yeah. And I don't know. So lately it's been kind of nice. I love where I'm at now. I don't know where I'm going to be at 10 years from now. I kind of worry about that, but like won the awards and stuff that I wanted to win. So not that, I mean, if you win one shiny thing, you want to win another shiny thing. But I mean, I honestly, I can say I'm kind of good. I mean, I don't have anything to prove there. So I'm not too worried about taking the big shoots and doing the big features anymore. I want to help people get, if someone out there is in a place in their life where they can start their own business and become financially independent, and financially independent sex worker is a beautiful thing. The
Sure.
world needs more of that. And if I can help people do that in a safe way, that's fucking awesome. And then in the meantime, scared of losing what you have that's typical human shit. So I want to, keep my businesses going. But
Sure.
that's been the mission lately, is just kind of help people do what I did. But I know building your own business isn't for everybody, and it's not. It's definitely not a smart person thing. I'm not a smart. I've never been accused of being smart. And it's definitely not a.
I would disagree, but go ahead.
Well, I don't know, if you ask any boss I ever had before porn, they'd be like, "This motherfucker's an idiot," But then I go to porn, and they're like, "You're a genius," and I'm like, "Oh, the bar just moved." Like, not to knock porn, but oh my god, but they you got to be at a certain point in your life to want to take risks and save up to start a business and all that. I wasn't there till I was late 20s, early 30s. So I mean,
right.
But then some 21-year-old or 18-year-old might be like, "Fuck yeah, I'm there right now. Let's go." So it just depends on where you're at, not who you are, I think. But
totally.
But yeah, just working on that, trying to clean this town up, and hopefully we get enough independent producers.
Yep.
It only takes 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 people doing what I'm doing or more, a little more, to have total changing of the guard in porn.
Well, there has been a lot of consolidation. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
So tell me about your Dungeons and Dragons quest. How's that going?
So we have a friend, Tim, and he's not a porn guy. He's a tutor. Super nerdy, great guy. And he invited my wife and I to start playing Dungeons and Dragons with him. And we were like, all right. And then the pandemic started, so we do it over Zoom now. But now on Monday nights, we just Zoom in, and he's our dungeon master in a non-sexual way, just in a Dungeons and Dragons way. And it's fucking awesome. I never thought I'd be into. I always I'm pretty nerdy, but I always thought that was in the Venn diagram of nerds. That was not my circle. I just thought, oh, that's for those different kind of nerds. But it's fucking awesome because you can it's all about your imagination. So the game gets as perverted as you want, currently my character is a human form person, but because of what happened, long story short, in the quest, I got a dragon tail attached to me. And at the end of the dragon tail is a dwarf's penis that just got stuck on there.
Okay.
And so I'm running around.
You can tell I know nothing about this, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, just anything could happen. You're basically your dungeon master guy. If you've never done this before, right?
No.
So he explains the situation. You start playing, and he's like, "Okay, you're remember where you were last time? You're all in this room. There's 2 doors. Which door do you go through?" And then you decide, okay, let's go through this one. And then you walk through, and then you pretend that you all walk through the door. And he goes, "Oh man, there's a goblin in there. What do you do?" And then you it's whatever the fuck you want. So Charlotte sometimes is like, "I'm gonna stick my arm up his butt," and then the dungeon master will be like, "All right."
That's your wife, I assume.
Yeah. So then he'll be like, "All right, roll."
She sounds like a kick.
Yeah. So roll a dice for dexterity, and then you roll to see how successful you were at sticking your arm up their butt, and then it just kind of goes from there. Anyway, it's nerdy as fuck, but it's fun imagination times. I love it. So I'm a big D&D nerd now. It's good.
So tell me about your cats.
So they're good. They're really good. There's 4.
How many do you have?
There's 4, and they're.
You got me. You got me matched. We got 4 dogs, by the way.
Okay, yeah, 4 is a good number, I think, to have of pets. There's a big fluffy one. He's the oldest battle cat, and he's in charge, and he yells a lot at everybody. But he's nice. He just yells. And then there's a black cat, Ripley, and Jonesy is a tabby, just a big chunky tabby cat. And the baby cat is the only girl, and she hides all day from everybody, but she sleeps on my butt. Every night she sleeps on my butt. So that's
cute.
That's good. But they're good, man. They're like, oh, they're such good kitties. I mean, they get along. They don't like break shit. They almost always poop in a box.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Nice.
can't ask for more than that.
Wish my dogs
And
did. Anyway,
that'd be easier if dogs pooped in a box.
Yeah.
But yeah, people when I shoot porn at my house, they always they all of them except Baby Cat come and say hi and like meet the models and stuff. And
I'm sure that warms the models' hearts for sure.
It's good, yeah. And then I know like there's models I won't hire again because they were like rude to a cat. And I'm like, well,
yeah. If you don't like animals, you're on one of my lists, and it's not a good list. So
you can't at least pretend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, people that are mean to animals, I can't handle that.
Oh yeah, mean is But if they can't even if I didn't I like dogs. Dogs are great. But like if I go to someone's house, I'm going to say hi to the person, but I'm going to be really nice to the dog.
Oh hell yeah!
Because that's the person who owns the house wants.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Standard.
Oh, I love it. I love animals. So, so any lessons learned from years of volunteering, helping homeless people, people in prison, and people in psych wards?
Yeah, I mean, I did that for a long time, like my whole 20s. Every Friday I would go to there's a place in Washington D.C. called St. Elizabeth's, and it's the that I know of. It's the only maximum security psych ward on the East Coast, but it might be wrong. But it's the only one in that area.
Sounds really heavy duty.
It's kind of cool. It's like it's all big ass brick buildings, and if you go at night, it's cool because there's steam grates in the ground, and so steam is billowing out of the ground. And then on the campus, where it's all fenced in, and like they got armed guards and shit, But once you get inside, there's a homeless shelter too, like a bunch of trailers set up that are homeless shelter. And the guys that live there, they just kind of walk around, like loom around the like premises, and so there's like steam grates, and then methed out looking dudes kind of limping around, and then like it's old like Gothic looking stuff. I mean, it looks like you're in a horror movie. It's kind of cool. But that's where John Hinckley lives, the guy that shot Reagan. And
really,
if he's still alive, he might be dead by now. But he was there when I was there. And,
I thought died, if I'm not mistaken.
He might have died.
Yeah.
So they let him out one day because he had gotten to a certain point in his therapy there after like 10 years or some shit. They're like, all right, John, let's see how you do on like a field trip. You know what I mean? Just to see how you do. And when he came back, they're like, John, how's your day? And he's like, I went to a place called Starbucks. Everybody has their own phone now. It's so weird. And they're like, oh, John, you had a great day outside. And then they had to search him because they're like, he's a dude that tried to kill the president, right? So they had to search him.
Yeah.
And in his pocket, they found a human finger. And they were like, John, what's going on? And he's like, what do you mean? Like, what? And they're like, why do you got a finger in your pocket? He's like, what? You don't have a finger in your pocket? Because he's crazy, right? And so they didn't let him out again after that. They were like,
yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. No more Starbucks and where's the person missing the finger?
Yeah. Someone in DC is just like one finger fewer, I guess. So
hopefully that's all. Yeah.
Yeah. But every Friday I would go there for like, I don't know, 3 years. And just, I used to do a shit ton of drugs and alcohol. And then when I turned 19, around then I got sober. And then so my friends and I would go there and just kind of help people, anyone who wanted to like not get fucked up anymore.
Is that where you grew up, was DC, Lance?
Yeah, DC area. Yeah. So nice. It's like, if you're in a maximum security psych ward or you're in a homeless shelter, it's not a guarantee that you have alcoholism, but there's a chance that there's some crossover there where you might be. Yeah, you might be. So it's a good place to look for people who need help. So we would do that. And it was cool, man. It was a good experience. Met a lot of people. And because you get down to the brass tacks of humanity of like, because you're talking to another human that's dehumanized the world. But I also learned that, the majority, at least the thousands of dudes that I met in there, the majority of them, they're what I call pro-homeless. Like they no interest in not being homeless anymore. it's kind of like camping for them. They're like, I'm good. I don't know. I'm in here because it's cold out, but as soon as it gets nice, go back to living on the street. And they have, like a locker at a YMCA, and they know where the food is, and they get a shower every day, and they got their spot fought for, they sleep in, and they just kind of do their thing. So it kind of changed my view on, I don't know, just like there's a certain part of the humanity that's just going to choose that.
Yeah, I guess so. A lot of people look at it as a problem. I guess they don't look at it as a problem.
Yeah, they don't. Well, not when I say they, I can't speak for all the homeless, but I'm saying there's a big percentage, the majority of the dudes that I try to help. Because that would be like, hey man, I got a car. I could pick you up Monday and help you look for a job. I could like shower my.
And they're like, a what?
Yeah, and they're like, why would I do that?
Yeah, like, exactly. I like my life.
I can hang out at the subway and I'll make $40 just hanging there with like my hand out. Like, why would I? No? Are you stupid? And I'd be like, oh well, good point, buddy. So, it's kind of changed my view on that. And then I just you learn a lot. I don't know, it's neat. I did that in Florida too, and a lot of people don't notice all the oranges in Florida, or not all. I don't know the guys that I was working with. A lot of them would get kind of taken off the street in the city, and then they get put in the back of a pickup truck. Like, hey man, day labor, I'll give you a pint of whiskey and a pack of cigarettes if you get in the truck. And they'd be like, all right. And then for the next 4 or 5 years, they're in an orange field in the middle of Florida, like, and they can't get out, and they're picking oranges, and that's where oranges come from. So like they're just kind of like
they're like slaves.
You can't, yeah. It's kind of like that. And like they can leave if they can walk for what a 3-hour drive is.
Oh god.
Like they can totally leave. They're not like captive, but like so it just kind of it just gave me a different spin on like
interesting.
Wow. But again, it's just like starting your business. If it depends on where you're at in life. If you want to get out of that or not, it doesn't depend on much else.
Life, my friend, is full of choices. Well, look, I gotta say, by a good margin, this is the most interesting of the interviews I've done so far. And Lance, I really want to thank you for being our guest today on Adult Side Broker Talk. And I really hope we get a chance to do a part 2 real soon.
Me too. Yeah, let's do it.
My broker tip today is part 6 of how to buy an adult website. Last week we talked about the sales agreement. So now both you and the seller have signed the agreement. What comes next? There needs to be an escrow setup where you send the money, whether it be a one-time payment or a deposit if you're going to be making payments. The seller, for their part, puts the assets of the sale into escrow, namely the domains being sold and any other tangible assets that can be put into escrow. Your attorney can give you more information on that. We recommend Escrow Domains for escrows. They are a firm out of Washington, D.C., and no, they're not paying me to say this. I just use them, trust them, and am delighted by the work they've done for us. Either an escrow agreement will be drawn up by them in the case of a custom escrow, or if it's a simple one, it can be set up right on their website. Then you, the buyer, the seller, and the broker will be contacted by Escrow Domains with further instructions such as wiring information. The escrow is opened, and either the deal closes within a matter of a few days or an inspection period is allowed. It all depends on what the agreement calls for. Whether you need an inspection period really depends on whether there is still some information you need to find out prior to the deal closing. Your broker and your attorney can advise you more on this, and it's on a case-by-case basis. Then the money is transferred, as are the domains, and the deal is closed. Now, in many cases, in fact, most of the time, the seller either stays on board for a period of time to help with the transition or is at least available on an on-call basis to answer questions. This is something most buyers should ask for. But at this point, you pretty much own the website. What do you do now? We'll talk about that subject next week. And next week, we'll be talking to Evan Seinfeld, the former rock star, porn star, and currently the owner of the very successful clip and social media sites Is My Girl and Is My Guy. And that's it for this week's Adult Side Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Lance Hart. Talk to you again next week on Adult Side Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.